What if the most important life in human history was not just a religious mystery, but a historical fact documented by the very hands that tried to silence it? We often see him through the stained glass of cathedrals or the pages of ancient scriptures. But strip away the centuries of tradition, the art, and the dogma, and you are left with something far more compelling. A man who lived, breathed, and dared to challenge the greatest empire the world had ever known. Today, we go beyond the myths. We look at the ruins of Judea, the records of Roman chroniclers, and the cold, hard facts of the first century. We are not just telling a story. We are uncovering the truth behind the carpenter who changed the fate of empires forever. This is not a sermon. This is an investigation into the life of Jesus. Welcome to Soul of the Ruins. We begin in a land where the sun beats down on dusty streets and the shadow of an empire looms over every village. Judea in the first century was not a place of peace. It was a pressure cooker of political unrest and religious longing. The Roman occupation was heavy, calculated, and brutal. Taxes were not just a financial burden. They were a systemic humiliation designed to strip the local population of their dignity and resources. Imagine a small, humble village named Nazareth, hidden away from the grand centers of power, far from the polished marble of Rome. It was here, in the daily grind of a carpenter's shop, that a life began, a life that would challenge the foundations of the Roman world. The sound of wood being cut, the smell of sawdust, and the sight of tired farmers passing by, these were the daily rhythms that shaped a man who understood the burdens of the common people. He did not come from ivory towers. He came from the people who were intertwined with the soil and wood. He saw the Roman soldiers standing guard at the city gates, their presence a constant reminder of who truly held the power in this land. He witnessed the desperate struggles of neighbors trying to feed their children, the corruption of tax collectors who sold out their own kin for a handful of silver, and the quiet, simmering resentment of the people waiting for a deliverer. In those quiet years in Nazareth, he was not just learning a trade. He was learning the human condition. He was observing how fear dictates actions, how poverty erodes hope, and how even the smallest acts of kindness can light up the darkest of days. This environment of oppression and constant surveillance was the crucible in which his worldview was formed. It was a world that needed a spark, and he was the one destined to strike it against the rough stone of Roman reality. History often hides its secrets in the debris of time, buried under the weight of centuries. When we search for Jesus outside of the Gospels, we do not find a silent ghost or a mythological construct. We find significant ripples in history, documented by the very people who witnessed the early days of his movement. Flavius Josephus, a historian who lived shortly after this era, speaks of a wise man and a teacher who gained a massive following despite the dangers of the time. Tacitus, a renowned Roman historian known for his extreme skepticism and disdain for new religious cults, explicitly documents the execution of Christus under the procurator Pontius Pilate during the reign of Tiberius. These are not religious tales written by fervent believers. These are the clinical, cold, and sometimes openly hostile observations of Roman and Jewish chroniclers. They confirm that a movement began, a teacher existed, and that his influence was significant enough to capture the attention of the empire's highest elite. To ignore these records is to ignore the historical reality of the man himself. We look at the archaeological records, the pottery, the ruins, the coins of the era, and they all paint the same picture. A world in flux, a society desperate for change, and the figure standing at the center of this transformation. We must move beyond the veil of piety to see the man behind the myth. He was a product of his time, yet he broke every rule his time imposed upon him. This is the bedrock of our inquiry. Facts, names, dates, and the inescapable truth that a man lived and died in a way that defied the expectations of history itself. Imagine the scene. Thousands of people sitting on the grass, hungry not just for bread, but for a reason to keep living in an age of despair. Jesus spoke to them not in the language of the lawyers, but in parables. He did not talk about complex laws. He talked about seeds growing in secret, lost sheep found in the mountains, and the simple beauty of the lily of the field. His words were a direct, dangerous challenge to the rigid, rule-based religious structure of his time. He claimed that the last would be first, that the poor were blessed, and that love was the only law that truly mattered. This was revolutionary. In a world governed by the brutal logic of an eye for an eye, he preached radical mercy. In a world defined by violence and Ramong might, he preached peace and subversion through kindness. He wasn't just teaching a philosophy. He was calling for a total transformation of the human heart. People flocked to him from every corner, not because he promised them military victory, but because for the first time, they felt seen, valued, and empowered by their own humanity. He challenged the status quo by dining with the outcasts, speaking to the disenfranchised, and breaking social taboos that had governed society for generations. His message was infectious, and it terrified those who profited from the current order. He was a beacon of light in a dark, oppressive landscape, drawing the attention of both the hopeful and the hateful. Power, by its very nature, does not like competition. When a man gains the hearts and minds of the masses, he automatically becomes a political target, whether he seeks that power or not. The religious authorities in Jerusalem, the Sadducees and the Pharisees, saw him as a volatile threat to their delicate social and religious order. They were worried about Roman retaliation. They were worried about their own relevance. At the same time, the Roman authorities, represented by the cold and pragmatic Pontius Pilate, saw him as a threat to the Pax Romana, the peace of Rome. Pilate was a man of dark, calculated maneuvering. He knew that one small spark in an occupied land could easily ignite into a wildfire of rebellion. He didn't care about the truth of Jesus' teachings. He cared about control, stability, and his own career prospects. The intersection of religious jealousy and Roman political pragmatism created the perfect fatal storm. They saw a man who spoke of a kingdom, a word that to Roman ears sounded like treason. They did not understand that his kingdom was not of this world, nor did they care to listen. The trial was not about justice. It was about the preservation of power. The stage was set, the characters were positioned, and the collision between a kingdom of love and an empire of steel became inevitable, leading to a trial that would echo through the coming millennia. The road to the cross was not merely an execution. It was a carefully curated message of terror. Rome used the cross to tell the world, if you challenge our order, this is your inevitable fate. It was designed to be slow, agonizing, and public, a deterrent to any who dared to hope for something different. But something happened during those final hours that the Romans did not expect. Even in his final moments, amidst the physical agony, the mocking laughter, and the overwhelming shame of public execution, Jesus displayed a profound dignity that moved even his hardened executioners. The darkness that reportedly descended upon the hill mirrored the darkness in the hearts of those who stood by and watched. He died as an outcast, rejected by his own people, and executed by a distant, indifferent empire. Yet, in that moment of apparent defeat, his message achieved a kind of immortality that no emperor could ever command. He surrendered his life, but he refused to surrender his truth. The silence that followed his death was not the silence of a failed experiment. It was the quiet before a storm. The empire thought they had silenced him with wood and iron, but they had unknowingly provided the canvas upon which his legacy would be written forever. The cross became the very symbol of his defiance, and the ending of his life became the beginning of a story that would transcend borders, races, and centuries, defying the very power that sought to extinguish it. The Roman Empire crumbled into the dust of history. The great arenas where they cheered for blood, the powerful governors who sat in luxury, and the mighty legions that once marched across the known world, all of them are gone. They are names in textbooks and broken stones in museums. But what remains? An idea. A story of a man who dared to love in a loveless world. The ruins you see in this video, these ancient silent stones, are witnesses to the rise and fall of civilizations. But the spirit of Jesus' life, that persistent, quiet, and revolutionary love, outlived the stones. Whether you look at it from a historical perspective or a spiritual one, the impact is undeniable. He transformed the concept of power, the value of the individual, and the way we view our fellow man. He taught us that true influence is not measured by the territory we conquer, but by the hearts we reach. The story does not end in the ruins of Jerusalem. It begins there. It spreads through history, touching the lives of billions, challenging the way we treat the poor, the weak, and the forgotten. Today, we are still wrestling with his questions, still grappling with his teachings, and still trying to understand the depth of his legacy. The ruins stand as a testament to the fact that empires fade, but the truth spoken by a simple carpenter remains as vibrant and relevant as the day it was first uttered. This is the enduring mystery of the life we have explored today, a life that started in a stable and ended in eternity.